A millionaire froze when he saw his son kicked out like a servant. What he did next was shocking. The boy's small hands clutched the two brown suitcases tightly, his knuckles turning white. Tears streamed down his dusty cheeks, leaving streaks on his skin. "Go on, out." The woman's sharp voice cut through the still country air like a whip. The little boy's lips quivered. He turned to look back at the wooden house one more time, hoping, praying that maybe she'd soften, that maybe she'd remember this was his father's house, too. But her face twisted in cold fury as she pointed toward the dirt road. "You don't belong here," she barked. "Go back to your grandmother where you came from. This isn't your home anymore." Can you imagine the betrayal this boy felt? It hadn't always been like this. After his mother passed away 2 years ago, Ethan had been raised by his grandmother in her small, cozy cottage on the other side of the valley. His father, a successful businessman, visited sometimes, bringing toys, warm hugs, and stories of the world beyond their little town. And sometimes Ethan would pack his small bag and walk for miles just to surprise his father at this very house. His father would always scoop him up and laugh, "My boy, you came to see me again." But this time, things were different. His father had been gone for nearly a month on a long business trip, leaving the house in the care of a woman Ethan barely knew. The woman had smiled at his father when he left, but the moment the car disappeared down the road, her smile faded. Ethan had felt so lonely these past weeks. So that morning, he decided he couldn't wait any longer. "I'll surprise Daddy," he whispered to himself as he packed his little bag. "He'll be so happy to see me." But when he arrived, dusty and tired from the long walk, the woman's face turned to stone. "What are you doing here?" she demanded, blocking the doorway. I came to see my dad," Ethan said softly. "He's not here." "I know, but I thought I could wait for him." "Please." "No," she snapped. "You don't belong in this house. Your father left me in charge, and I say you're not welcome." Ethan's chest tightened. "But I'm his son." The woman's lip curled. "His son? Look at you. Filthy, just like your mother." The words hit him like a slap. "I'll be good," Ethan whispered, tears welling in his eyes. "I won't touch anything. I'll just wait in his room." But the woman shoved him back roughly. Ethan stumbled, his small hand scraping against the wooden porch. "You're no better than the servants here. Take your things and leave before he comes back." The boy's legs wobbled as he stood. He didn't even get a chance to step inside. With trembling hands, he picked up his suitcases. "Where will I go?" he asked quietly. "Back to your grandmother. She's probably the only one who wants you," the woman said coldly. Ethan's vision blurred with tears. He started walking slowly down the grassy yard, his small shoulders hunched under the weight of his bags. What the woman didn't know was that Ethan's father had cut his trip short. The man's black car turned onto the dirt road, the tires crunching softly over loose gravel. He felt excitement rise in his chest. It had been weeks since he'd seen his son. He couldn't wait to surprise him with the gifts he'd brought from the city. But as he neared the house, his excitement turned to confusion. There, in the middle of the lawn, was his son crying, struggling to drag 2 heavy suitcases across the grass. The man slammed the brakes. His heart dropped. "Ethan." The boy froze, his tear-streaked face turned slowly, his lips trembling. "Daddy," he whispered. The woman on the porch stiffened as she saw the car, her face drained of color. The man's eyes darted between his crying son and the woman standing at the door. A cold rage began to rise in his chest. "Daddy." Ethan's small voice cracked as tears rolled down his dirt-smudged cheeks. The millionaire's chest tightened painfully at the sight. His boy, his only son, was standing in the middle of the yard with 2 old suitcases, his shirt wrinkled and stained, his tiny arms trembling under the weight. "Ethan, what's going on?" the man shouted as he jumped out of his car, slamming the door so hard it rattled the windows. Ethan set the suitcases down and wiped his eyes with his sleeve. She said I don't belong here, he whispered, pointing a trembling finger at the woman standing on the porch. She said you didn't want me anymore. The man's head snapped toward the woman. She froze. Marcus, I can explain. You'd better, Marcus said, his voice low and dangerous. I didn't mean any harm, she began hastily. I just thought it would be best if the boy stayed with his grandmother. He came here unannounced, dragging dirt all over the house. I was trying to maintain order. That's all. Surely you understand. Her voice wavered as Marcus stalked toward her, his eyes blazing with fury. Order, he repeated, his tone sharp enough to cut glass. You think throwing my son out like a servant is maintaining order? Marcus, he's just a child. He doesn't understand how things work in a house like this. No, you don't understand. Marcus's voice boomed across the yard now. This is his home, not yours, not mine. His. The woman's face paled. But you've shown me who you really are, Marcus said coldly, and I have no place in my life for people who treat my child like trash. He turned to Ethan, his expression softening as he knelt in the grass. Come here, son. Ethan hesitated for a moment before running into his father's arms. Marcus wrapped him tightly in a hug, burying his face in the boy's shoulder. I'm so sorry, he whispered. You should never have been treated like that. You are my son. You will always belong with me. Ethan sobbed into his father's chest, clinging to him as though he'd never let go. Marcus stood, lifting his boy into his arms. He looked back at the woman, his voice icy. Pack your things. You're leaving this house today. The woman's mouth fell open. You can't be serious, Marcus. You're lucky I'm not calling the police for what you just did, he interrupted. Now go. The chauffeur, who had been silently watching, finally stepped forward. Sir, he said quietly, I wanted to stop her, but she threatened to fire me if I spoke up. Marcus nodded, his jaw tightening. You've worked for me for years, James. I know your heart. You're not to blame. As the woman hurried inside to pack her own bags, Marcus carried Ethan into the house. The boy sniffled as he looked around the living room. Will you send me back to Grandma's? Marcus knelt down, holding Ethan's shoulders firmly. Listen to me carefully, he said, his voice steady. You will never be sent away from me again. This is your home. You're my son, and no one has the right to take that from you. Later that evening, after the woman's car disappeared down the road, Marcus sat with Ethan by the fireplace. The boy was wrapped in a warm blanket, sipping hot cocoa as his father gently brushed the dirt from his small hands. You're safe now, Marcus said softly, and tomorrow, we're going to make this house feel like a real home for both of us. For the first time in weeks, Marcus felt a sense of peace, because he knew no amount of money in the world mattered more than the boy asleep in his arms. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.